Imagine waking up in a world where the very foundations of truth are no longer certain, where the beliefs you have been taught about what is real, what is moral, and what is true are no longer grounded in any absolute or universal standard. Instead, reality begins to look like a vast canvas, where each individual paints their own meaning based on their perspective, experiences, and desires. Welcome to Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophy, an exploration of truth, existence, and meaning that challenges the very core of traditional thinking. Nietzsche's work pushes us to question the very nature of truth and reality itself. For him, truth is not something objective that we uncover like a hidden treasure. Instead, it's a process, a dynamic, subjective creation woven into the fabric of human life. But what does this mean for us in a world that seeks certainty and absolutes? Can truth really be subjective? And if so, what does this imply for how we live, interpret the world, and make sense of our own existence? In this video, we'll embark on a journey through Nietzsche's radical ideas about truth, reality, and interpretation, and examine how his views shaped existentialism and the modern philosophical landscape. Let's dive deep into Nietzsche's perspective on truth and explore the profound impact his thinking has had on existential philosophy. Before we dive deeper into Nietzsche's views, I want to take a moment to welcome you to the unfolding journey, where we explore some of the most thought-provoking ideas from philosophy, psychology, literature, and beyond. If you're passionate about questioning the status quo, examining the nature of existence, or just love diving into philosophical debates, you're in the right place. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos where we continue to unravel the mysteries of life and thought, one concept at a time. Join our growing community of curious minds as we embark on this intellectual journey together. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophical project lies a radical critique of traditional concepts of truth. For centuries, Western thought had been dominated by the idea that truth was something objective, universal, and unchanging, a reality that exists independently of human perception. From ancient Greece to the Christian Middle Ages, thinkers such as Plato, Aristotle, and Augustine conceptualized truth as an eternal and absolute standard that humans must strive to uncover through reason, faith, or logic. However, Nietzsche didn't just question this idea, he shattered it. In his work on Truth and Lies in a Non-Moral Sense, Nietzsche suggests that truth is a human invention rather than an objective reality. He argues that what we call truth is actually a collection of metaphors, conventions, and linguistic constructs that we have invented over time to make sense of the world. In his view, these constructs are not true in any absolute sense, but are merely tools we use to navigate our experiences. One of Nietzsche's key claims is that truth is always shaped by power dynamics and social forces. The truths we hold to be self-evident are not the result of some objective discovery of reality, but are instead created and enforced by those who hold power. Language, for instance, is not a neutral tool for representing the world as it truly is. It is a system of signs and symbols that distorts and simplifies reality to make it manageable for human beings. Nietzsche famously declared that there are no facts, only interpretations. This quote encapsulates his belief that all knowledge is perspectival. No single individual or culture has access to an unmediated, objective truth. Instead, we are all limited by our individual perspectives, and what we call truth is simply the result of a particular interpretation of reality. For Nietzsche, the traditional search for an absolute, eternal truth is misguided. He argued that such a pursuit only serves to limit human freedom and creativity. Instead, he called for a new way of engaging with truth, a way that embraces the fluidity and subjectivity of human experience. This perspective allows individuals to become creators of their own values and truths, rather than passive recipients of external authorities. One of the most compelling aspects of Nietzsche's philosophy is his emphasis on the subjective nature of reality. According to Nietzsche, each individual experiences the world through their own unique perspective, shaped by their desires, biases, and interpretations. This means that reality, as we know it, is never fixed or objective but is always in flux, constantly reshaped by our perceptions. Nietzsche's focus on subjectivity challenges the dominant views of his time. In contrast to the Enlightenment thinkers who emphasized the power of reason and objective truth, Nietzsche argued that our perception of reality is influenced by forces beyond our control, such as biology, culture, and psychology. For instance, our senses filter and distort the world around us, and our minds impose patterns and meaning onto the chaos of existence. In this sense, Nietzsche believed that reality itself is a construction, shaped by the very faculties that allow us to interpret and understand it. This subjective view of reality leads to what Nietzsche calls the will to power. The will to power is the fundamental drive that shapes all living beings, pushing them to assert themselves, create, and transform their environment. This drive, Nietzsche suggests, is not just a desire for physical power, but a deeper impulse to shape the world according to one's own values and interpretations. For Nietzsche, this means that truth and reality are not external entities that exist independent of us. They are instead dynamic, subjective processes that are deeply intertwined with our desires, actions, and struggles. Rather than seeking an objective truth, Nietzsche advocates for embracing the multiplicity of perspectives that make up human experience. The result is a more fluid, creative engagement with the world, where individuals can become active participants in the creation of their own reality. Nietzsche's critique of objective truth and his emphasis on the subjective nature of reality had a profound impact on existentialism, a philosophical movement that emerged in the 20th century. Existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre, Martin Heidegger, and Albert Camus were deeply influenced by Nietzsche's rejection of absolute truths and his focus on individual freedom and responsibility. Existentialism is grounded in the belief that human beings are condemned to live in a world without inherent meaning. Unlike traditional religious or metaphysical systems that offer a universal sense of purpose, existentialists argue that meaning must be created by the individual in response to an otherwise indifferent or absurd world. This aligns closely with Nietzsche's perspective on truth, where meaning is not something we discover, but something we invent through our own choices and actions. One of the key existential themes influenced by Nietzsche is the idea of authenticity. For existentialists, living authentically means embracing one's freedom to choose and to create meaning in an otherwise meaningless world. This echoes Nietzsche's call for individuals to reject external authorities and societal norms and instead forge their own path. Nietzsche's famous concept of the Übermensch, or Overman, is a symbol of this ideal, a person who transcends conventional values and creates new, life-affirming truths in the face of an indifferent universe. In his seminal work Being and Nothingness, Sartre builds on Nietzsche's ideas about the subjective nature of reality and the creation of meaning. Sartre's notion of bad faith, for example, is the act of denying one's own freedom and responsibility by conforming to external social roles and values. Just as Nietzsche urged individuals to reject the truths imposed by society, Sartre believed that authentic existence could only be achieved by accepting the responsibility of creating one's own values in a world that offers no predefined purpose. Similarly, Camus, in The Myth of Sisyphus, draws on Nietzsche's emphasis on the absurdity of life. Camus argues that life has no inherent meaning, and yet, like Sisyphus eternally pushing his boulder up the hill, humans must continue to live and find meaning in their struggle against the absurd. This mirrors Nietzsche's call to embrace life in all its challenges and uncertainties, without resorting to comforting illusions or false truths. Nietzsche's philosophy remains one of the most radical and thought-provoking challenges to our conventional understanding of truth and reality. By rejecting the notion of objective, universal truths and embracing the subjective nature of reality, Nietzsche opens up new possibilities for individual freedom, creativity, and meaning. For Nietzsche, truth is not a static, external entity to be discovered. It is a dynamic, interpretive process that is deeply tied to our experiences and desires. Nietzsche's critique of truth and reality also laid the groundwork for existentialism, a movement that continues to shape modern philosophy. Existentialists, following in Nietzsche's footsteps, emphasize the importance of individual freedom and responsibility in a world devoid of inherent meaning. The existential project, like Nietzsche's own, is to create meaning through personal choices, to live authentically, and to embrace the fluidity and subjectivity of human existence. As we reflect on Nietzsche's impact, we are reminded that the search for truth may not be about uncovering an ultimate, objective reality, but about forging our own paths in a world that offers no easy answers. In embracing this uncertainty, we unlock the potential for new interpretations, new possibilities, and ultimately a richer, more authentic experience of life. If you found this journey into Nietzsche's philosophy thought-provoking, don't forget to subscribe to The Unfolding Journey. There's much more to explore, from the depths of existentialism to the challenges of contemporary thought. Join our community of thinkers, and let's continue to question, reflect, and unfold the mysteries of existence together. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on our next deep dive into the world of ideas. Stay curious, stay philosophical, and until next time, keep exploring.